Hey everybody, welcome back to Furniture Flipping Teacher. I'm Lauren, and in this video, these nightstands are getting a much needed makeover. It might not look like it from afar, but these are in need of some love, especially on the tops. We're gonna get into all of the damage here in just a little bit, but first things first, as always, we're gonna remove the hardware. I think I'm gonna be getting rid of these hardware little knob dangly things. They just are a little outdated, but I do like the handle down below, so I'm gonna save that and potentially put those back on this piece. I'm just gonna need to find some new knobs for the top drawer. I've always found for these like keyhole things, taking a putty knife and kind of just easing it back in behind it and prying it off is kind of the easiest way. Usually it's easy. Not sure, I guess, how these are attached. Seems like they're pretty deep in there. Goodness, spoke too soon on it being easy. There we go. Interesting. Okay, so it looks like for this one specifically, they just had two little, I don't know, stud things. Then you just put them in those two holes. I'm gonna keep these. I might put them back on. They're non-functioning, but I'm gonna keep them just in case because I don't know if I want to fill those holes. So these do have furniture stoppers, but they're these rubber ones. So they make it difficult for the drawer can't just fall out, but they still are easy to pull out if you need to, which you definitely need to because you never know what you're gonna find in here. This is cute, little keychain thingy. All right, I'm not talking anymore because I just jinxed myself twice on easy things for this project.
Back to back.
What the? Let's just pull out. There. I like to label my nightstands so then I can label the drawers. So this one is going to be number 1, top, and this one would be 1, bottom. I feel like the bail pole things are having a moment right now, so I'm gonna keep them, like I said, and probably replace these on the bottom, but I may change up the color a little bit to hopefully match whatever knobs I choose for the top drawer. Oh,
Ooh. Gosh, what was that?
nothing's wrong, we're good. I don't know, that sounded way, 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 way worse than it was. Ah! Tornado! We're in a tornado watch and the sirens are going on. By the way, if you don't live in a place that has tornadoes, then you're probably like, what in the heck are you doing? But yes, in Nebraska and probably other places too, you just go out and you look at the storm and you see what's going on because this is crazy. Like it does not even, like it's barely windy, but that's actually also cause for concern because sometimes it's like the calm before the storm. I don't even know where we would go at this point. Like where would we even go? We don't have a basement. Oh, there's a whole bunch of cars still driving.
Just another day in the Midwest.
Honestly.
Go about your business.
Like that means someone spotted like a funnel or something, I'm assuming. We're all good, sirens are done. I think there was a touchdown of a tornado about like maybe 25 minutes from us, but for now, we're good. All right, let's clean this baby. All right, simple green it is. We're gonna give these a nice clean because, you know, they're relatively clean, honestly, but you gotta start with a clean surface when you are flipping furniture, kind of like no matter what technique you're gonna do on the piece, because you need to get all of the oils and grease, grime, dust off of the surface so you're not grinding it in there, and also so everything will adhere correctly. There's so many benefits, and plus I just really like to start with a clean slate so that I know that it's not like someone else's filth on the piece of furniture anymore before I start to work on it. I'm gonna have to address that problem. All right, these are all clean. And now comes the fun part, or the part where I am adventuring into and I have no idea what I'm going to do because we've got to fix this top. So when I picked these up from Facebook Marketplace, I saw that there was damage on the tops, but I didn't really realize how damaged they were. I don't think it would have, made me question my decision on getting these, but I think I just would have been a little bit more prepared because I mean, there is a lot of water damage, especially on this one. That one honestly could have been salvaged, but since I'm gonna have to do something about this one, I might as well just do the same on that guy so that they're like matching since they are nightstands. But there's water damage all like this thick all the way throughout this front portion. There's water damage all on this side. There's a huge bubble right here. There's water damage all over here. So much so that it's like peeling back, and you can visibly see that like this trim piece is completely separate of this middle piece, and then the veneer is really what's bubbling and what's bad. But underneath the veneer, which is like a super thin layer of veneer, is chipboard or particle board. It kind of is interchangeable on how you want to, whatever you want to call it. But I think what I'm gonna do is the only logical thing to do is to just start kind of chipping away at it, no pun intended, and just see what we're working with. I'm either gonna have to like Bondo it and like get it all smooth, but I would really like to go with a wood look, so that might require replacing the veneer or replacing the top altogether. We're gonna get into it and kind of just go from there, because sometimes that's what furniture flipping is all about. Going with the flow and being flexible on your design. So let's do it. At this point, anything that will come off, I'm gonna take it off, because I can't be for sure that it wouldn't come off like later on. And so that's why I think that it's gonna kind of end up being the entire top. Some areas that aren't water damaged might be a little bit more tricky to actually like remove because it's not already damaged. And you can just see the lifting. Yeah, this is bad. Oh. And it's just like crumbs. These are high quality nightstands. I'm not gonna say that they're not just because they're made of particle board, but if you have nightstands and like furniture, like gotta take care of it. Like, kind of curious if I decided to, instead of going ahead and chipping all of this off right now, because at this point, the further I get into it, seems like I'm gonna need to like just take the whole top out and off. And so I'm thinking that instead of wasting time to begin with, it's kind of satisfying though, but I'm thinking I might just go ahead and see what unscrewing from this underneath would do, to see like if that would disconnect the top at all. Cause like with this just turning to literal dust, if I put Bondo on that, all it's gonna do is stick to the dust, and then it's gonna be like a big dusty Bondoed mess, you know? This is a real and raw look of me figuring out something new that I've never dealt with before. I've dealt with some water damage before, but nothing this bad to where like it's literally lifting. I've dealt with like the bubbles where you can just sand those down and put some Bondo over it and then sand it smooth. I'll link that video down below, just in case, you know, you're wondering how to do that. But I think this is going to require a full replacement of whether it's the top or the veneer, one of the two, because this just isn't gonna do anything great. All right, it's been a few days since I was working on these pieces, and like you saw in that clip just a little bit ago. It started storming here, sirens were going off. We were very lucky here because a tornado actually formed like less than a mile that way and was in the sky but not touching down up until it got over to the airport. Plus there was a huge, like almost mile wide tornado about 20 miles west of us, and I got the opportunity this past weekend to go out and help people that just literally lost their houses. So we'll play some of that footage, but we're counting our blessings honestly here, like to go out there and see all of the devastation that's out there. It's gonna take a long time to rebuild, but thanks to everyone who reached out to us that knew that there were tornadoes here in Omaha, but we are all safe and sound, so it is time to get back to these nightstands. So I've chipped away at about as much at the top that I'm going to, because I'm gonna see if I can unscrew it from the bottom and see if we can just fully remove the top. At this point, I really don't think that this is salvageable because it's turning to just sawdust. So I'm gonna lay it down on the table so that we can try and remove the top. Hey, that really wasn't too bad to get off, but there are some remnants of the chipboard, again, because it's just such cheap material. So that will all need to get removed. So I'll probably do a mixture of scraping it off and then sanding the rest of it off before we get our new top on. But I'm gonna keep the top over there to just make sure that I've got an idea of you know, the sizing for the new top, and then we'll need to take the top off of the second nightstand as well so that everything is matching and cohesive with the set.
Another one.
Another one.
All right, so I think I found some wood here in the workshop that I already had on hand that I was gonna use for a different project, and it didn't end up working out. So this is gonna be perfect to recreate the tops of these out of, I think this is like a 2x4 wood, but it's not plywood, which is good because when I cut it, you're not gonna be able to see like the inside of the plywood. And I'm not gonna do edge banding because I want to try and router it to look like the old tops, basically, so that we're just recreating those old things. So first things first, we need to cut it down to size, and then we'll be able to grab the router out and try our hand at with a router. We got a little hangover on each side in the front, so it's perfect. We got some wiggle room. Now we are going to, I think I need to go to Home Depot to get a router bit to make sure that we've got a really nice, pretty edge. We're back, and I've got the router bits. I didn't get them from Home Depot, but Harbor Freight came in clutch, and I got a 4-piece decorative router bit set with a cove, a roundover, a Roman OG, and a chamfer. And I thought I was gonna use the decorative edge one, but then I tried the roundover bit, and I think I'm gonna go with that one instead. I did some testing on the scrap board over here, and the decorative one, while I really like it, the bottom side of where this top sits has this very similar look to the decorative router bit that I grabbed. And so it would basically be this underneath in the same design. And I just thought that the roundover that I tried was a bit more simple and still made it decorative. So I didn't want to go too over the top. But I'm glad I went with the pack so that I could try out a couple of different bits, and I'm really liking the roundover bit, so that's what we're gonna do. I tried it on this scrap piece of wood, and I'm pretty confident that I'm gonna be able to do it on the regular top that's gonna be the actual piece. So let's do it. For my first time, that's not bad. There might be a few spots where I'll like smooth out with my sander, but really it looks good. I'm so proud of myself. They're not perfect, like I said, but like they're good. It looks like they were meant to be on there. Obviously minus the color, but now what I'm gonna do is before I attach these on there, I am going to begin to strip back the stain on the bodies and drawers of the nightstands, because my goal is to stain these in a darker color, but I have to, there's gonna be two little potential hiccups. One is the veneer is super thin. We found that out with the tops, and the sides are no different. And then so I need to be really careful to not sand through the veneer because I want to stain. And then the second thing is that this is pine, and then I don't really know what the veneer would technically be as far as like wood species goes, but chances are it's not pine, and so we're gonna have to figure out how to stain them similar colors, at least minimum, without like making them look super, super weird, because they might be different species of wood. So we're gonna start by sanding everything back. Okay, so there's a couple things. I went through the veneer on a little bit of the areas like I thought I would. I was, what do you call it? Optimistic, but I failed because it's literally so thin. So there's particle board popping out on a few places, and then plus, like I also suspected, this is a different tone of wood than the tops, but then also the veneer is like a reddish tone, and then the areas where it's wood, like on the detailed areas, it's like a different color, and then on this part, it's a different type of wood. So we're working with like 5 or 6 different types of wood, and I just don't want to spend as much time on these pieces and like to make them wood. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is pivoting, and we're going to scuff sand this guy and the drawers, and we're going to prime and we're going to paint, and the only thing that will be stained on these will be the tops. But it's not a waste of time, because the tops, either way, if I wanted to stain them all or paint them or whatever, they would have need to be replaced. So that needed to happen no matter what. So we're gonna scuff sand this guy. Ready to prime. Now that we're all prepped, I'm gonna be using this Zinsser Bullseye 123 primer. It's water-based, so I may have to kind of go back and do some spot shellacking with my spray shellac, but this will at least give me a good base for painting once that dries. Ready for paint. I am going to be using a new to me color. This actually came out last fall from Lily Moon's Harvest Festival collection, and it's called Eastern Acorn. So it's kind of like a burnt orangey brownish color, and it's a little bit risky, I feel like, but they're nightstands, so they're still in high demand. And then I think paired with a wooden top, I think they're gonna be really cool. I am going to just go ahead and strain this into my spray gun, let it filter through so that we don't get any chunks in there. And then this is an all-in-one paint. So with that being said, that means that the top coat is built in and the primer is built in, the bonding primer that is. So I still primed it, and typically I will, just for really good insurance that this is going to stick to my piece. But I won't have to top coat it because it has it all built in. And usually the only time that I would add maybe an extra top coat is especially on the top. But again, since we're doing the wood tops, I'll just put a separate top coat on those. And then I always like to just put a small amount of water into this paint. It just helps it go through the spray gun a tad bit easier and make me have like a really nice flow. It's also a self-leveling paint, so that means that it'll level out really nicely and be a nice smooth finish. So I've got my cardboard here, and we are going to do a quick test spray, make sure everything's coming out great, and then spray paint the nightstand. All right, we're ready. This is definitely a bit more orange than I thought, but we're gonna see what it looks like. First coat done. Like I said, kind of bright, but I know that it'll like dry a bit darker, so we're gonna let it do its thing, and we'll come back for coat 2. In between coats, I'm gonna continue working. So we've got that one drying over there, and I am gonna be working on the hardware. So I said at the beginning that I wanted to keep the bottom bail poles, and I'll get new hardware for the top 4 poles on each drawer. So I found these over at Hobby Lobby. They're just some basic generic knobs, pretty heavy duty though. And I did go ahead and use the bronze gilding wax on them. So to match these, I am going to also use the bronze gilding wax on the bail poles and the key covers, so that we can have a nice cohesive look. I did go ahead and do a few repairs off camera. There was like a crack down this drawer, so I just filled it in with some Bondo, sanded it back, and primed it real fast. It kind of popped out once that paint was on there. So here's another little spot. I'm doing this so that I am paying attention to all of the nitty-gritty details. That is such an important thing to do when you're selling pieces of furniture like this. Nobody wants dinged up furniture when they're technically buying like new pieces. So important to pay attention to those details. Here comes coat 2. All right, ready for the tops. So I'm gonna sand them down a little bit, but first I wanna test out some stains. We've got Lily Moon Smoky Gel stains, color Tennessee Whiskey, and the color Mudslide. And I've got some more over there if I'm not totally sold on these two, but they're water-based, super easy to use. And I've got this test board, same board that I tested out the router bit. And we're just gonna test and see if any of these colors work. So I'm kind of going for a darker look, and depending on what wood you have will depend on like how it takes the stain. So that's why it's important to test if you have the opportunity to test like this. Okay, I think I need to sand it down a little bit before I test it, because I'm pretty sure there might be like a film over the top. So yeah, that definitely took a lot better, but not so sure I love that color for these. This one is Tennessee whiskey. Has a little bit more of a reddish undertone, which actually might be the right way to go since we have like kind of an orangish, brownish, reddish color. I don't want it to blend too much. I think I do like that one. I feel like I always use Tennessee whiskey, but it's just such a great color. Okay, yep, we're gonna go with Tennessee whiskey, which is this guy right here. So I'm gonna sand down the tops, get them all perfected, and then we'll stain them both. So this is the joys of working with pine. One of them took a lot darker than the other one, so I'm gonna try and remedy that by doing another layer only on this one, seeing if we can darken it up to look like this more so that they match at least a little bit closer. All right, the extra coat over here made them even out really nicely. I think that they look great, but although the stain has a top coat built in, it still went like directly on raw wood, and they're the tops of nightstands, and clearly we saw that water damage is a real thing. So I'm gonna do at least 2, probably 3 coats of top coat on these to just really give them that layer of protection. I'm gonna use my zebra top coat brush. This just really helps the top coat go on nice and smooth and really helps eliminate those streak marks that you might get with typical top coat using a different type of brush. Okay, it's time for some hardware. I am gonna put these on in between coats of my top coat. The time has come. We are ready to put the tops on. So I kept all of the blocks that will have the screws going up into the bottom, or the bottom of the top. But first I want to put a little bit of wood glue around the edges just to secure it even more to the top of this guy. I'm not putting too much glue because I don't really want it to be like everywhere when I put this on and glue it on or screw it in, because it will squeeze, but I just want enough to where it's like doing its job. It's on! First time I ever made tops. Well, I have made a top of a dresser one other time, but it was not as cool as these. These are like legit tops. Like you can't even tell that I changed it, so. All right, next one. Ah! I am so happy with the way that these came out. Honestly, like I had a vision, as you guys know, of doing them like wood, sanding them all the way down to wood and staining them into a darker color, which is why I kind of removed the tops in the first place, because I couldn't do that with those tops. But really, you know, furniture flipping is about being flexible and being able to pivot when needed. So I figured out quickly that these just weren't the best candidates for staining them. Now, I will say, like, it wouldn't have been impossible, but for the amount of work that I wanted to put into these, I knew that it wasn't the right move. So I am so glad that I decided to go ahead and paint them. And honestly, I've been wanting to use this color called Eastern Acorn for a while now. I just never found a piece or pieces that I thought would look good in this color. So I said, you know what? Let's just try it on these nightstands. Will it be a quick seller? I don't know. I've never sold anything quite this color before. It's kind of a nice orange, burnt orangish with some brown undertones. So I'm just really glad with the way that they turned out, and I'm so thrilled with the hardware. glad I kept that bail pole and then found this hardware at Hobby Lobby, but then was able to match it all with a bronze gilding wax, which is something to keep in mind for the future for you if you are looking to like match mismatched hardware or, you know, change the color in any way. That's totally possible with the gilding wax. And the tops, you guys, honestly, I was a little bit nervous using that router, but I mean, like I said, they're not like 100% perfect, but honestly, what piece of furniture is? But I'm so thrilled with the way that they all turned out. And to me, it doesn't even look like these tops are new. It looks like they belonged on them from the get-go. So I think I did a great job, and I chose the right bit, because I think that that decorative edge would have just been a little bit too much over the top, and the round over bit was just the perfect one. So if you're looking to replace the tops of any type of piece of furniture, the round over edge, the round over bit will kind of give you this sort of like finished look that kind of looks like a piece of furniture. So let's talk about the numbers of this piece. The numbers of this piece actually might surprise you. I didn't put as much into it as I might have thought because of replacing the tops. But they were $80 on Facebook Marketplace, and then I had the wood on hand already. So they were scrap pieces of wood, and then between the new hardware, which was around $30, and then the primer and paint and the top coat and stain for the tops here, we're in around $150, like all in. So really not too bad for material wise, and I'm planning to list them between $450 and $400. We'll see kind of what I decide right when I click that post button, but I'll keep you updated. Right now I don't have any updates on any past furniture. I haven't been selling it, but I do have it listed pretty high, so I'm just, you know, waiting it out. We've got the space, so we're waiting it out. So for all of you out there interested in flipping for yourself or for profit as a side hustle, we have a starter kit guide for you down below. You can click that link, and then we'll email you the top tools that I think that are necessary to get started into the furniture flipping world. It's so much fun. We have a great community, and we'd love to have you a part of it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the flip side.